Sal from Service All Stars is joining me here on Checka Pro Radio. Sal, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Joe. How's it going?
Hey, I'm living the dream. Thank you for joining me. Hey, I understand that there's going to be a big change, or we're going through a change with refrigerant.
Right.
Um, it's kind of technical. Can you make it kind of simple for the listeners and the viewers as to what's going on with that?
Yeah. So, all the G20 nations assigned a climate accord, and in that climate accord, they came up with a nominal number, which is called the global warming potential. So, any chemicals out there being sold are going to have this global warming potential number assigned to it. And anything with a number of any chemical with a number greater than 700 is actually going to be banned. So one of those chemicals happens to be the most popular refrigerant used in residential air conditioners, which is R410A, and that has a global warming potential of 1800. So that's why that's being phased out. And the new refrigerants, which is R454B and R32, is going to be in the marketplace now.
Is it different here in California than the other states as far as you know? I'm just curious because I know California usually takes the first step.
No, it's a federal regulation. Starting on December 31st will be the last day that manufacturers can manufacture R410A equipment. And on January 1st, they all have to change to manufacturing equipment R454B or R32. Most manufacturers have already made the switch. The product is already out in the marketplace. If you go get some with some manufacturers, if you go and try to purchase R410A equipment, they just don't have it. You know, whether it's for the certain tonnages or sizes or type of equipment, they don't have it. And it's going to be a big disruption in the industry.
Yeah. How does that affect the average homeowner? They don't know what they have in their system right now. So when they need to have a recharge of refrigerant, what happens?
Well, the refrigerant is on a 10-year phase out. So we're already 2 years into the phase out. 2 years ago, manufacturers were able to produce 100% volume of 410A. And every year they have to decrease that number by 20%. So 2 years later, they're probably producing maybe 70%, maybe, let's say, of the 100% that they were producing 2 years ago. And that's going to be a 20% reduction year after year after year for the next 8 years, and until it's finally phased out. So what's going to happen is you can still get the refrigerant, but you just can't buy equipment that uses that new equipment that uses that refrigerant, right? So now what's going to happen as the phase out goes on, the price of R410 is going to keep increasing.
Yeah.
Because as the supply gets lower, the demand is going to stay constant or lower, not that much. But in any way, the demand is going to beat out the supply every single time, and that's going to make the price for R410 go up, just like it happened for R22. 10 years ago they phased out R22, and it's the same thing. It's another move by the governments of the world to make the world, I guess, more environmental friendly.
So would now be a good time for a homeowner to replace their air conditioning systems altogether instead of trying to piece things together?
That's a great question, Joe. I mean, yeah, this is the best time. We actually have a flyer going out to our clients. It's a pretty cool flyer. Wish I had a copy of it, but it's telling people that it's time to, if you want to change your equipment, now is the time, because this next equipment that's going to be coming in for 2025 is going to be about 20 to 30% higher in cost than the R410A equipment that's going out. So you can still take advantage of getting the R410A equipment installed if your system is over 10 years old. I recommend it to do right away.
Yeah, if your system's getting older and you have to constantly put more refrigerant in, which there are some systems that every year, maybe even every 6 months or 3 months, instead of replacing it and getting it fixed properly, because it's probably a bad coil, it might be a small little pinhole, but people will call you out, right? And to put more refrigerant in. And 3 months later, hey, Sal, come back out because it's not working right. And you're
Well,
like, go
yeah,
ahead.
we don't put in refrigerant without putting in the leak sealer.
Yeah.
We won't, because we already know it's gonna leak out, right? We don't know how fast it's gonna leak out, but we know how long. I mean, that it's gonna leak out as soon as we put it in. It's gonna start leaking. So it doesn't make any point in doing that because we're providing the customer with a disservice. So being who we are, we stay 100% transparent with our clientele, and we give them options, and the options we give them are, we can do the refrigerant with a leak sealer, or we can do the refrigerant and do a repair, a leak search rather on it. And if the leak is somewhere where it's repairable, then we can go ahead and repair it and then put the refrigerant in. Or if we do the leak search first and we find the leak to be on equipment, then we can talk about replacing that piece of equipment because, quite frankly, it's not the easiest thing to repair a leak on a coil. It's better off you just replace it.
Replace the coil almost always. I
Yeah,
agree. On that note, Sal, thank you so much for joining me today and explaining to everybody what's going on with refrigerant. Much appreciated.
absolutely. Yep.